Hey guys, so I've got this 99 Mercury tracer, same as the 99 Escort. They share the same parts. I've got to clean this head up really good, but I was having a peculiar problem, and that was, okay, I would start it, and if you give it any kind of throttle, especially quickly, it would have this knock that you would swear was something really mechanical, something like rod bearings. Okay, so I replaced the rod bearings. Let me see if I can clean that camera up a little bit. Probably just made it worse. Sorry about that. Well, anyway, could just, there we go, it zoomed in. So, like I say, it was having a knocking noise when I gave it gas, and it was down on power, and I could hear through the exhaust that although this noise is happening when you give it throttle, I was like, no, that's a miss. It's not a rod knocking, but you could really hear a knock in the motor when you gave it gas. And again, I replaced the rod bearings, checked them for clearance, everything, checked the mains. Or no, I'm sorry, didn't check the mains, but I was pretty sure this noise was not that. So I was out here messing around to diagnose it because I really didn't want to pull the head. And like I say, I've already been under the bottom, done the oil pan, all that, you know. Anyway, long story short, so I'm out here diagnosing, and number 1 and 2 cylinders, if I pull off the injector wire off of one of those, then I can give it as much gas as I want, noise goes away, but it's still missing. Of course it'd be still missing, but I could take off either one and it'd be still missing, and put them on, still missing, put on 3 or take off 3 or 4 and the engine would die. So I figured out, okay, it's running on 2 cylinders. Did the old-fashioned compression test with a compression tester, and I got 50 off of number 1 and 2, and 185, 190, 3 and 4 respectively. So I'm thinking, okay, I heard, you know, jump time, which I didn't think so. So I inspected. Everything was in time. So I went ahead and popped the timing belt since I knew I was going to have to pull this head anyway. And 2 of my head bolts snapped on me. An old trick that I should have done beforehand was slightly tighten, then loosen. It helps break them free, but I didn't do that. And 2 of my head bolts snapped, which is very common on these engines because of the thin, crappy head bolts they use. Ford did a really crap job on making these cars, but this one here snapped and this one here snapped. They both had about 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch sticking out, and I used a monkey wrench, and that worked perfectly, and they came out very easily. Anyway, before I really looked at the gasket, I put the head over here, and I was doing a little leak down test with some transmission fluid just to make sure the valves were all right on 1 and 2. But other than being darker than the other ones, than 3 and 4, see, 3 and 4 have that white buildup where, I mean, they're running right. Anyway, never would have thought it, but if you look between the gaskets, you see how it has this trail going between it, right in there, right here. See, the other cylinders don't. They have clear rings all the way around. So combustion was getting between both cylinders, and when I read the head gasket after I just pulled it off to make this video, this is what I found. When I first saw it, the head was really stuck on the motor. I mean, freaking glued. It had lifted the whole car up, and then I had pried just a little on the back of the head with a inner tube tool for motocross, and anyway, it just popped off and the engine dropped, and wasn't my favorite way for things to go, but I've been fighting this thing to get it off. I mean, it was seriously on there. Anyway, once I started looking at it, I had thought it broke when it dropped, but it didn't, because I see the burn marks, and you know, the hole's obviously there, and then those burn marks there on the compression ring. So just for everybody who's watching, also I had inspected in here, and though you might think you see metal flake in there, it's only just parts where it's clean and you can see the aluminum. There is no metal in there, and I've got to blow everything out and check through it. But anyway, if you ever have a 99 Escort or Tracer with a 2.0 liter, I don't think these are as bad about dropping valve seats as the 1.9s. But if you have a sound that's like a rod knock, but you've still got plenty of oil, and you're and you can figure out that it's missing, and it only does it when you give it gas, that's your issue. And you can run through that same diagnostic that I did. A quicker one would be do the compression test. I guess that should have been my first thing, but I was robbed a while back and they got my compression tester, so I had to rent one, and I didn't have money till recently. Anyway, I hope that helps. Have a great one, and see you on the other side.